heated brawls,
P.J. Brown throws Charlie Ward, watch out.
Rivalries that lasted for over decades, and getting authorities involved is only some of the most heated rivalries in the NBA, because the rivalry between the Heat and the Celtics goes way past a few playoff battles. Back in 2004, Rookie of the Year LeBron James himself stole the spotlight from Paul Pierce. In the next season, in a preseason game, Pierce was fixing to light up LeBron and show him he can't just walk on the court doing whatever he wants.
He's talking big noise to the Cavs bench. Paul actually spits over there at the bench.
The beef was officially on. Fast forward to 2010, Boston ruled the East, and Dwayne Wade's Heat wasn't ready for what was coming to them. But even though Wade didn't have the help he needed just yet, Miami was still built tough. But toughness alone wouldn't get them through the series. And with the clock winding down in Game 3, Paul Pierce had ice in his veins.
Pierce puts it up for the win. Knocks it down.
One game later, and Miami was swept right out of the series. And with that, Boston set their sights on their next victim, LeBron James. And they gave the hometown hero one final L before he left Cleveland crushed.
The Boston Celtics with the huge upset. They advance to the conference finals. And LeBron James' season is over. Is his career in Cleveland over?
LeBron knew he couldn't take on the Big Three on his own, but he also knew he needed revenge. So he took his talents to South Beach to join Bosh and Wade. It was time for them to make their own Big Three.
But we also know you three kings came down here to win championships. Not one.
Not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven.
You gotta have some big balls to claim you're gonna win 7 titles on national TV. And with that ballsy claim, the Heatles were born. Their mission? Dethrone Boston. Thing is, the Celtics were not scared. Anything but scared, actually. Because in the 2011 regular season, Pierce and Wade got straight to the smoke.
James head down and runs right into O'Neal, and then a technical foul.
And it's the right call. Technical foul on LeBron James, throwing the ball to the body of Jermaine O'Neal, not liking the contact.
Pierce and Wade pushing and shoving each other.
That was just a warm-up round for years of playoff scuffles, where LeBron was starving for his first title while Boston's Big Three were at the end of their primes. So in the first game of the 2011 playoffs, Pierce was still on the prowl.
Pierce objects. Oh, did he headbutt him? It looked like Pierce may have head. Well, that's a flagrant foul right there. Night in and night out. And there was. I think Pierce has just been thrown out.
Paul didn't like anything about the Heat, but they were next to take over the lead. So the war rooms were about to get twisted. And in Game 3, Wade slammed Rondo into a horror scene.
And then Wade pulls down Rondo. It was almost like he was trying to box him out.
My man's arm was bent like a pretzel, and he still came back in the same game. Clearly, playing after an injury like that is not the move, because LeBron took over Game 5 and became the new king of the East.
First of all, I want to give a lot of thanks to the Boston Celtics. Coach Rivers, that coaching staff, them players. They make you fight for everything. You can never take your foot off the gas. You can never take a second off against that team. So
It's over.
a lot of respect to that team.
The titles were shifting, but the Celtics were on another crash course with Miami in the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals with legacies on the line. Because this was their final chance at a championship trophy. And if Miami lost, their Big Three would be a failed experiment, while the real Big Three reigned supreme. So with the series tied 2-2, Paul Pierce stared down Bron one-on-one and took control.
Pierce for three. It's good. Paul Pierce from way downtown. And Boston leads by 4.
Boston started feeling confident about stopping the Heat in their tracks, but LeBron couldn't take another season of talking about him choking. So in Game 6, he hit a cold-blooded death stare that made the greatest performance of his career.
James around Pierce all the way to the rim and a tomahawk right-hand slam. Woo!
The adrenaline right now just must be flying through.
Side jumper is good. LeBron James connects.
This man shot clock down to 3. Difficult shot from James. Gets it to go.
LeBron James has 30 in the half.
12 of 13. Falling away. Gets that to go off the glass. Pulls up for a 3 and hits it. What a performance so far for LeBron James. James with the heat on his shoulders. Flips it up left-handed. Banks it in. He's got 45. Stop.
Bro put up 45 and hit the dagger. He straight up took the Celtics off life support. The next year, Ray Allen switched to Miami and sealed Boston's fate while burning every bridge in the process. It didn't just end the Big Three, it ended the brotherhood. By 2020, the old cast had left, but the rivalry strong as ever. Boston had Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown with the keys to the historic franchise, and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo were the heart of the Heat culture as they re-sparked the feud in the 2020 Eastern Conference Finals. And on the final play of Game 1, Bam Adebayo met Jason Tatum at the rim for one of the nastiest blocks ever.
Butler got downhill, couldn't punch it. Bam says, "Get it out of here!" Adebayo.
They rode the energy all the way to the final, but this was only the prologue. In 2022, the rivalry peaked again. Celtics vs. Heat in a brutal 7-game Eastern Conference Finals. By Game 7, Miami looked finished, down 11 in the fourth, until the man Jimmy Butler decided to flip the script with one of the gutsiest runs of his career. But even after Jimmy put up 43 points, his hot hand still came inches short.
For the lead! Loose!
From there on out, Miami and Boston were destined to meet every year in the playoffs. But by 2023, nobody believed in Miami as the 8th seed, except Jimmy Buckets. See, in Game 2, Grant Williams decided to wake up a monster.
Williams defends Butler. A bump, the grind, the gyration, and the 2 in the foul.
And they're having words. Look at this.
Nose to nose, eye to eye. Williams, the defensive assignment.
This is what he wants.
Inside for the lead. He got it.
That's what he wants. Grant Williams on him.
Jimmy cooked the Celtics and went up 3-0 in the series. So with their backs against the wall, Jaylen Brown dropped a warning.
We just heard Marcus quote Kevin Millar, "Don't let us get one." Is that the attitude here?
Oh, for sure. Don't let us get one.
Don't let us get one.
Just don't let us get one. So.
3, smart, good! Move, bump by Adebayo, got the 2. Final is going to be Boston on top, 116-99, big win, avoiding elimination. It's the 2, hard screen, Williams out. The move, and Hauser from way outside with a 3. Winning it tonight by 13, leading wire to wire.
They let us get 2, so don't let us get another one.
Bro sounded silly, but Boston actually came back to force Game 6. Now, Miami looked like they had it all under control in the final moment, but Derek White put on his cape and became a hero.
It's off to Smart for the 7th game. From there been tipped in, but the buzzer sounded. The light was on. It'll be
The offensive rebounding.
Oh, he got rid of it.
That's
a Celtic win, and we're
and
going
the
to
Celtics.
Game 7.
Impossible. By this time, everyone thought Boston would be the first team in history to come back down 3-0. But in Game 7, Miami got the last laugh in a blowout.
Spoelstra inside Butler. Robinson, Bam Adebayo will slam it in. They stand eye to eye with history, and they did not blink.
The Eastern Conference clash couldn't have been closer, and both teams were ready to see each other again in 2024.
I don't like the Boston Celtics. See, I've known JT since we were 12. So obviously when we play each other, it's a dogfight. Like, I want to be like, dog, like I have more wins than you.
Bam was right, because they met again. Now, unfortunately, Jimmy was injured, but the trash talk didn't stop, because he had Instagrammed the troll like he could still win the series from the couch. Boston took this series with ease on their way to winning the NBA championship. And even though Jimmy might be gone now, this war is far from over. But a shorter war sparked one of the biggest controversies the NBA has ever seen. And it all started with betrayal. In the early 90s, Pat Riley turned the Knicks into one of the toughest teams in the East. He was supposed to be their guy. And not just the team's guy, but the fans as well. But behind the scenes, he hated his contract offer, and Riley was not about to settle for that. So instead of sticking with the Knicks, he faxed his resignation and packed his bags for Miami. But when he got to Miami, he didn't just go for coach. That would be too easy. So he became both the coach and the president. New York felt betrayed. So betrayed, they accused Miami of tampering, and they got the full support of the NBA behind them. And with that kind of power, they basically extorted $1 million and a first-round pick out of the Heat just to settle things. But it didn't matter. The damage was done, and the love was long gone. So when Riley finally stepped back into Madison Square Garden wearing Miami colors, the fans let him have it.
I think he should be in jail.
Right.
But the crowd's reaction to Pat's return was just the tip of the iceberg, because once the playoffs hit, the teams themselves were ready for war.
And a stalwart. Turnover, New York.
Oakley in his face and Mourning managing a smile. Now P.J. Brown and Chris Childs having at each other. The former New Jersey Net teammates. Oakley and Mourning, technical foul. Oakley's out of here.
Now they have to fight for this series.
P.J. Brown throws Charlie Ward. Watch out. This one's going to get really ugly. P.J. Brown picked Charlie Ward up and threw him into the photographer's row. I don't know what began this struggle, but I did see P.J. Brown pick Ward up and heave him upside down.
And I guarantee you this is the reason you threw Charlie Ward down and the Knicks guys are getting involved, because he's the guy that they love on this team.
The fallout was brutal. 5 Knicks players got suspended, and the league had to call in a judge just to make sure New York could even put a team back on the floor. Patrick Ewing, Charlie Ward, and Allen Houston were forced to sit for Game 6, while Larry Johnson and John Starks were lined up to miss Game 7. And that is when Miami made their move, because with an unstoppable Tim Hardaway, they knew they had to shoot to win it all.
Should there be the rest of the playoffs?
38 points and 5 steals later, Hardaway and Miami snatched the first playoff battle. But if 1997 was wild, 1998 was a straight-up Shakespearean play, because Alonzo Mourning of the Heat and Larry Johnson of the Knicks were mortal enemies. When they were on the same team in Charlotte, they were supposed to be the team's cornerstones. Instead, they fought over who deserved the max contract, and bad blood ensued. And this bad blood followed them all the way into the playoffs in 1998. But what followed was pure comedy.
Rebound, New York. And fists are flying at the other end. Larry Johnson is one of them. Here we go. Oakley and Mourning have at each other.
And both of those guys will not play in Game 5. I guarantee you that.
But by sheer luck, the Knicks were able to keep it together after this brawl and pulled off a win in Games 4 and 5 to take the series for revenge in 1997. Now, both teams had their win, and it was time for the rivalry to end. It's something a normal person would think, but the Knicks were greedy as hell. That Pat Riley betrayal fueled their drive just to beat Miami into submission. So in 1999, as the 8th seed, the Knicks took the Heat all the way to the final game of the first round and just embarrassed them.
Ewing out in Houston. Houston ducks under. Got it! And the New York Knicks have become the second team in NBA history to knock off a number 1.
That buzzer beater started a Cinderella run all the way to the finals. And even though the Spurs clapped the Knicks 4-1 in the finals, they didn't care. All that mattered to the Knicks was embarrassing Pat Riley. But even after going through all of that, neither team could avoid each other, and both teams were so raw at the time that they met again for their 4th playoff matchup in a row in 2000. By now, both teams knew each other's playbooks, tendencies, even grudges. Every possession had years and years of history baked in. Game 1, Miami flexed early. Hardaway, Mourning, and Mashburn delivered blow after blow to New York, and suddenly the Heat were up. Then Game 2 hit, and that Madison Square Garden energy hit too. The Knicks fought their way to a win, and it was tied. Every game that followed was just a nail-biting back and forth. Game 3, the Knicks had Miami on the ropes late, until backup guard Anthony Carter heaved a miracle shot from behind the backboard.
Carter driving inside for the lead. Down it goes.
Game 3 goes to Miami. Game 4, Knicks. 5 to Miami. 6, Knicks. So by Game 7, tensions were through the roof. And right from the jump, it was ugly. Both teams played defense like it was a street fight. The Heat's Alonzo Mourning was blocking everything in sight. And the Knicks' Allen Houston and Latrell Sprewell were hitting shots that shouldn't have even made it to the rim. But the real chaos started in the 4th quarter. Knicks up by 6. Heat fighting back every possession. And when Jamal Mashburn and Mourning finally got Miami within 1 point with seconds left, the building was damn near about to explode. Then the most controversial moment of the series happened. Miami's down 83-82. It's their last possession. They try to run a play. It completely disintegrates. And then out of nowhere, Latrell calls a timeout.
Can't get it, and Sprewell with the ball calls timeout. Of all the players on the court, the last one you would guess to take a shot would be Clarence Weatherspoon.
It's not clear as to what the referees are going to decide here.
But the thing is, he didn't call a timeout. No one did. Latrell himself even admitted he didn't make the call. And when the ball went back to New York, the Heat bench loses its mind, and the Knicks win by a single point. Pat Riley storms off with his old fans celebrating 1,000 miles away. 4 straight years, 4 Game 7s, and the last thing Riley sees is his old team celebrating harder than ever before. But this next rivalry gets even more intense. I mean, the tension between the Lakers and Kings was a Hollywood soap opera. See, in 2000, the Sacramento fans got wild with their cowbells and were burning Lakers jerseys at half court. And on the other end, Phil Jackson said Kings head coach Rick Adelman looked like Hitler. But the Kings pushed the Lakers to the final game of the series, and a hate story was born. Now in 2001, the Lakers swept them easy. But in 2002 came national security level conspiracies. See, the night before Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals, Kobe ordered a harmless bacon cheeseburger and some fries from room service. And 5 hours later, he was puking and stuck on a toilet with food poisoning. It could have been a fan, the New Jersey mob, who knows? But no one else got sick from the other 300 burgers served that night. So with Kobe moving like a zombie in Game 2, the Kings cruise to a W.
And this series is tied at a game apiece.
And then they doubled down for a blowout the next match. Sacramento shocked the Lakers dynasty into dangling by a thread down 2-1. So LA was desperate for an angel in Game 4. But in the final moments of a nail-biter, Robert Horry got the rebound to save the season. But in Game 5, Mike Bibby stole the series back.
To Bibby has the open shot.
Back-to-back buzzers made this series must-see TV. But what people couldn't see is that the league's poster boys, Kobe and Shaq, getting pushed to the edge by some small market team. And Bibby knew the NBA would ruin everything.
So we get in the limo and Chucky Brown tells me like, hey Mike, if the NBA wants a team to win a game, they're gonna bring in a specific crew. I was like, Chucky, ain't nothing they can do to stop this. Like there's nothing they can do to stop it. He's like, watch. So we get to the game the next day, he shows me the paper, you know, you get the notes at the beginning of the game. He's like, Mike, I said, damn.
Dude must have had a sixth sense, because he had to live through his worst nightmare coming true, because Game 6 became the most controversial contest in sports. In just the fourth quarter, the Lakers shot 27 free throws compared to the Kings' 9. But instead of letting it play out, the refs were sabotaging the game when their big men started dropping like flies.
Bobby Jackson plagued by an ankle problem for several games, and a foul, an offensive foul. O'Neal, Rick Adelman trying to buy some time for Bobby Divac, and a foul. Lakers hoping to take it back to Sacramento for Game 7. Weber called for the offensive foul. That's number 5 on Weber. And this is a terrible call.
Vlade Divac and Chris Webber felled out. And in the final seconds, Kobe dished out the pain to Mike Bibby.
Turkoglu is able to hit on the drive. And here's Christie on the foul once again. Kobe Bryant will go to the line.
Kobe Bryant ran over Mike Bibby.
No whistle at all. And years later, Tim Donaghy, the famous ref who got caught cheating, admitted the game was rigged.
In 2002, I don't know if you remember the famous Lakers-Sacramento Game 6, right?
Yep.
Openly said to a lot of us that he was the NBA's go-to guy. He was put on Game 6s to make sure they went to a Game 7, and that was one of the most up, games in the history of the NBA.
Yes, yep.
And when you talk about 3 referees supposedly making so many mistakes in a conference final game, where in America can you perform at that level in your job so poorly and still go to the next level and ref in the NBA Finals and get another bonus of $20,000?
The NBA has some questions to answer, and they still had to finish Game 7 in Sacramento. But in overtime at home, the Kings couldn't get the job done.
And it's broken up. So that will do it. The Los Angeles Lakers winning here in Sacramento.
After handing out the L, Shaq handed out a mooning to the fans, showing the Kings who was the boss, and the Lakers went on to three-peat. But the next season, the Kings were still barking. See, Vlade Divac was running his mouth and must have forgot who he was talking to, because Shaq responded with a complete annihilation.
We're not worried about the Sacramento Queens. Not at all. I'm not going to be doing this all year, going back and forth with them. Nobody cares that we won last year. It's a new year, so we just need to focus on the new year.
Divac played it off, but Diesel was ready for a fight night. And it didn't take long, because in 2003, Doug Christie and Rick Fox started swinging, benches cleared, and Shaq was lurking like Batman, waiting for someone to throw up the signal.
Fox getting in the face, elbowing Christie. Christie wastes no time getting up, flipping the ball even at Fox, and then Fox pushes Christie, and Christie pushes Fox right there in the face. See, Fox would resume their fight in the tunnel. Like, we knew that was going to happen. And then everyone gets involved. I mean, the entire Kings bench comes out to join this mess. And look who's there. Do you notice as soon as Shaquille gets involved, everyone sort of backs away? Watch his PJs. Yeah, watch his toe. Nobody step on his toe. At least you know he's not going to kick anybody.
The rivalry got too nasty to keep spiraling like that, though. So fast forward to a decade, and Shaq ended up getting the ultimate revenge move. Because in 2013, he literally joined the Kings as a minority owner.
The new name of the town will be called Sacramento, the capital of California.
Petty warfare at its finest. But not all rivalries are born on the court. This next one started at birth, because two kids destined to be NBA legends were born in the same city of Akron, Ohio. But while LeBron James was getting tossed on the cover of Sports Illustrated before he could even drive, Steph Curry was the undersized kid that most people thought wouldn't even have a chance against WNBA players. And they were completely wrong. Sure, Steph Curry grew up into a baby-faced assassin, but he also battled ankle injuries, questions about his size, and constant criticism that he was just getting special treatment for being Del Curry's kid. Meanwhile, LeBron, he grew into a 6'9" freight train that took the Miami Heat to the finals. And by the 2010s, their worlds collided. In 2015, LeBron came back to Cleveland to bring the championship to the city that had never won one. But standing in his way, Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, because LeBron's so-called little brother from Akron wasn't so little anymore. Steph had turned the league upside down by shooting non-stop threes that no one could keep up with. So that added to an already high mountain that the Cavs had to climb, because the Cavs couldn't keep up with themselves. First, Kevin Love's shoulder gets torn right out of his socket in the opening round. Then, in game 1 of the finals, Kyrie's knees give out in overtime, leaving LeBron standing alone against the Storm. That Storm was dressed in blue and gold. Steph Curry was running wild with the ball, and Draymond Green was starting up the Warriors' positionless defense. So what happens? They swarm LeBron with double teaming, switching defenses, and endless waves of shooting buckets. And even though LeBron still managed to average nearly 36 points a game, there's only so much you can do against that kind of opponent. So Golden State ran the Cavaliers in 6 games and walked away with the trophy. The next year, LeBron was gearing up for revenge when the unthinkable happened. The Warriors pulled off the greatest season of basketball in history. They finished with 73-9 season, better than even Jordan's time with the Bulls. And the hope of a championship ring slowly began to fade from Cavs fans' minds. By the time the finals rolled around, the Warriors briskly hit a 3-1 lead over the Cavs. And with one win away from cementing themselves as the greatest team ever, Cleveland looked absolutely buried. But even if the fans looked broken, LeBron wasn't. He refused to throw in the towel. So in Game 5, they fought with all their might to keep their chances alive. And then, by a stroke of pure luck, they got their chance. After Draymond Green swung at LeBron's groin, he got a flagrant foul. And when officials tallied up all his fouls over the playoffs, they declared a flagrant 1 foul on Draymond, aka he had gotten enough cumulative fouls to trigger an automatic suspension. And suddenly, the door to victory cracked open for LeBron. So he just detonated. He put up 41 points in Game 5 to secure the win, and then did it again in Game 6 to tie them up. By Game 7, the Warriors were looking nervous, but LeBron, he showed no signs of letting up. That game was a fist fight from the opening tip. Every possession felt like it could tip the universe. Steph rained threes all night, but with sheer determination, the Cavs kept up, and by halftime, it was tied. Then came the final 3 minutes, the blackout stretch. As in, no one scored, not Steph, Clay, Kyrie, or LeBron. Then suddenly, Andre Iguodala grabs the ball and tears down the court. This is the shot that could seal it. He goes up for the layup, the ball tips toward the basket, and LeBron falls out of the sky to literally pin the ball to the backboard. Superhuman activity, but the game's still tied. Then Kyrie does it. With a minute left, he dribbles on Steph Curry, working up the courage to shoot. Then lines up, jumps, and drills a 3 from deep.
He launches a 3.
Cavs win 93-89.
I set out a goal 2 years when I came back to bring a championship to this city. I gave everything that I had. I poured my heart, my blood, my sweat, my tears to this game, and Cleveland This is for you!
But even though LeBron got his iconic block and Kyrie saved the day with his three, there wasn't time to mess around. Because as soon as the dust settled, the Warriors were already plotting revenge. Steph Curry had the best regular season in NBA history and still came up short, and that did not sit right with him. So while LeBron was parading through Cleveland with the trophy, Steph was texting a 7-foot sniper from OKC, Kevin Durant. And in July 2016, it happened. The Warriors signed him and simultaneously broke basketball. They had Steph, Clay, KD, and Draymond, 4 All-Stars, 2 MVPs, and one hell of a revenge to take on LeBron. On the way to the finals, they went 12-0 through the West. And in the finals, it was Cavs-Warriors Part 3. But this time, LeBron didn't have the same fire in him. He already gotten what he wanted. And on top of that, Kyrie had gotten traded to the Celtics. So what happened next was just embarrassing. Game 1, Durant drops 38. Game 2, Steph drops a triple-double. Game 3, Durant hits the dagger right in LeBron's face. LeBron gave it his all, but by the end of it, the Warriors took the series 4-1. Durant, Finals MVP, but one ring wasn't enough. So in 2018, the Warriors went to attempt the craziest thing of all time. Instead of icing the game, they tried to ice the entire Cavs franchise, and the Cavs were still so dominant, they actually gave the Warriors the opportunity to do it. 4 years in a row, both teams met in the finals, the stuff of legends. But just like legends, the Cavs faded into myth. Even though they were dominant in the East, they were a complete mess when it came to the Warriors in the finals. The bench is looking like a bunch of NPCs walked into the building, and LeBron is carrying the entire Cavaliers franchise on his back. And suddenly, he's staring down at a team of legit warriors. So, LeBron does what he does best and throws up an unbelievable 51 points in Game 1, and it still isn't enough. Because in the final seconds, with Cleveland down 105-107, Cavs player George Hill steps up for a free throw. He hits one, misses the second, and J.R. Smith grabs the ball on a rebound, and he runs away from the basket. Bro had a chance to seal the game and turned off his brain. So the game goes to overtime. The Cavs die, and Golden State takes Game 1. And with that, they also take the Cavs' soul. LeBron gets so mad, he punches a whiteboard and breaks his hand. And he still played the rest of the series. But it doesn't matter when the rest of your team plays like they don't have hands, because the Warriors destroyed the Cavs in Game 2 and Game 3 and Game 4. And the sweep is complete. Durant is crowned Finals MVP again, while LeBron sits alone on the end of a bench. A 34-point game average, a broken hand, 4 straight years of finals games, and only 1 ring to show for it. And just like that, the greatest underdog story meets its tragic end. LeBron leaves Cleveland because the hell with losing like that again, while Steph Curry becomes the king of the Bay. But Oakland isn't the only franchise that had to play like hell to get recognition. The Bulls were doing it in the 90s against the Pistons. But the Bulls and Pistons weren't just rivals, they were at war. And it all started with pride, because Pistons player Isaiah Thomas had a strong sense of loyalty to his hometown of Chicago. He was born there, and he lived there, and he grew up there. So even though he was playing for Detroit, he was the guy representing Chicago, until one player joined the Chicago Bulls and not only became the face of the city, but the face of the league. That player, Michael Jordan. And since Jordan was MVP, basically a human highlight reel in the NBA's Golden Boy, suddenly Chicago didn't belong to Isaiah no more. And that lit a fire inside Isaiah that would never burn out. Cut to the late 80s, Detroit had finally broken through Boston's shadow in the East, and they were fiending for a championship. But standing in their way, Michael Jordan. But even though toppling Jordan for a ring would be hard, Isaiah didn't care. This wasn't about chasing rings. It was about knocking Jordan off the throne before the dynasty even began. So he relayed his Jordan hate to the rest of the Pistons. And when the Bulls and Pistons collided in the playoffs of 1988, the hate turned to combat. Isaiah called the shots. Bill Laimbeer threw himself into brawls with Jordan and Oakley, and Dennis Rodman literally kicked Scottie Pippen in the face. But arguably the most important part, their invention of the Jordan rules. Translation, every time Jordan touches the ball, beat him until he breaks. And it worked. With insane levels of ferocity, the Pistons beat the Bulls. By 1989, they made such a ruthless name for themselves that they were legit dubbed the Bad Boys. Because even though Jordan rules were reserved for the Bulls, the Pistons got violent with every team they faced. So in 1989, when the Bulls entered the arena, the Pistons were ready for a gladiatorial match. Jordan tried to stop them, dropping clutch buckets and even stealing Game 3 in Chicago. But whatever hope the Bulls had, after Game 3, it was gone. The Pistons flipped the switch and unleashed every ounce of their bad boy identity. They doubled on Jordan, hammering him on every drive, and turned every possession into a street fight. This shit looked like trench warfare with how many bodies were hitting the floor. floor. And by the time the series was over, the Bulls were broken. Detroit closed it out in 6, went on to win their first championship, and proved that even Michael Jordan had a breaking point. And the following year, it was deja vu. Chicago fought their way to Game 7 in the conference finals, only for Scottie Pippen to suffer a migraine so severe he could barely see. So with their second star out, the Bulls collapsed again. Another beatdown and another Pistons finals run. And this made Jordan snap. He came back next season like he was possessed. Stronger, meaner, sharper. He wasn't the face of the league anymore. He was the league. The Bulls trained with the Pistons in mind. They lifted heavier, they ran harder, and their entire game plan wasn't even about beating the rest of the league. It was about finally killing Detroit. And when they finally got to face Detroit in 1991, Jordan unleashed hell. He went chest to chest with Rodman. Scottie Pippen refused to back down, and the Bulls took the lead, finishing Game 1 94-83. It was a statement to the Pistons that they would not bow down any longer. But if Game 1 was a statement, then Game 2 was an embarrassment. Chicago's defense locked in so hard that the Pistons just scored 14 points in the second quarter. The Pistons weren't just losing, they were collapsing. In Game 3, Jordan took control early, finishing with 33 points, 7 rebounds, and 13 assists. And every time Detroit threw a punch, Chicago answered with a 3. So after going 3-0 against the Bulls, the Pistons were finally getting a taste of their own medicine. But in Game 4, the Bulls brought down the hammer. Jordan hit 29 points. The Bulls defense suffocated the Pistons into shooting straight bricks, and the entire Chicago roster was bloodstained. But with seconds left, the bad boys pulled their most disrespectful, cowardly bitch-raised move yet. They walked off the court without even shaking hands. The ultimate sore losers. But this wasn't just the death of Detroit's dynasty, it was the birth of Chicago's. The Bulls went on to win 6 championships in the 90s. Meanwhile, Isaiah Thomas was left on the outside looking in. After he left the stadium in 91, he would never get another shot at Jordan. And in 1992, when the NBA made their dream team, they snubbed him for the roster. And he had to watch as his greatest rival became the face of basketball. To this day, his hate never died. Jordan said he still never forgave Isaiah. And Isaiah, he's demanding a public apology for the Last Dance doc, making him look like a villain. So 30 years later, the Pistons and Bulls handshake is still missing. But 30 years is nothing compared to how long the biggest NBA rivalry has been going. Cause Celtics and Lakers have been at each other's throats since the 60s. And it's a rivalry built on championship showdowns, revenge, and of all things, a legendary curse. See, back then, Bill Russell was the king of the East on the Celtics, while Jerry West carried the Lakers as the face of the West. And even though the Lakers were absolutely raw as a team, finishing the 1961 season with 54 wins and 26 losses, it would all end up being for nothing when it came to the finals. In 1962, a blown call on Elgin Baylor swung Game 7 of the series, and the Celtics won the championship. And that one call set off a literal decade of losses for LA. Every single time that they won their division finals, it would go on to lose every NBA final to none other than the Boston Celtics. Even when they fought back from a 3-1 hole in 1966, the king, Bill Russell himself, put the L in Lakers and handed them another loss. By 1968, after getting cooked for the 5th time in a row, Jerry West looked like he was about to walk into oncoming traffic. But in 1969, Wilt Chamberlain joined the team. And since Wilt was famous as hell for putting up 100 points in a single game, everyone in LA thought the odds were finally back in their favor. Nope. In Game 4 of the finals, Sam Jones embarrassed the Lakers with a buzzer beater. Then in a deciding Game 7, Wilt got hurt. The Lakers panicked and Boston took home the dub again. After getting to the finals 7 times and losing all 7 to the same team, the Lakers legit thought they were cursed. And can you blame them? Luckily, over the course of the next decade, the rivalry and therefore the curse went dormant. By the late 70s, the NBA itself was in trouble with on-court fights, off-court scandals, and TV ratings below hell. That's when 2 names entered the frame, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Magic went to the Lakers, Bird to the Celtics. And since these 2 guys were absolute demons on the court, not only did they reignite the rivalry, they also might have saved the NBA. Because what followed their entry into the basketball wasn't just rivalry. It was a cultural explosion of white versus black, and of course, East Coast versus West Coast. And that conflict straight up dragged the NBA back from the dead. So when the finals came back around in 1984, it got nasty fast. Kurt Rambis had a wide open layup when Kevin McHale came flying in and literally clotheslined him out of the sky. Boston rode that high and took the series in 7. And even though that was the Lakers' 8th straight loss to the Celtics, they finally started fighting back in the 85 series. Sure, they got embarrassed so badly in Game 1 that it was named the Memorial Day Massacre. But instead of letting the Celtics walk all over them for the 9th time, they flipped it. And over the next 5 games, they used their nuclear Magic Johnson to run the show. So for the first time ever, LA handed Boston an L in the finals, and the curse was finally dead. So after they killed the curse, they tried to kill the Celtics themselves. Game 4, 1987, Magic walked into Boston Garden, pulled out his junior skyhook, and shut the hellhole hold down. That was the moment that LA proved they weren't just Boston's bitch boys anymore, they were equals. But even though the rivalry of the 20th century hit its peak in the 80s, the Celtics and Lakers never forgot about the past. Decades later, Kobe came out to the scene and wanted his own shot at making history. Unfortunately, so did Boston's Big Three, and those guys handed Kobe a 39-point finals beatdown. It was war. 2 years later, they got their battle, and it went the full 9 yards, all 7 games. In Game 5, Ray Allen dumped so many threes, he set a finals record. Kobe tried to answer with 19 straight, but the Lakers still lost, and with the Celtics up in the series, it looked like it was going to be a repeat of 08. The Lakers had to win Game 6 to keep the series alive, so they were praying Kobe could deliver a miracle. But he didn't just have to, because in the first quarter, Boston starting center tore his knee. Boston imploded, and the Lakers just ripped them from 89 to 67. So it all came down in Game 7. With their center gone, Boston had to fight like hell, but the Lakers weren't doing too hot either. Kobe couldn't hit a shot to save his life. But instead of flopping and forcing fouls, Kobe stuck the rebounds and got 15 while his teammates Ron Artest and Paul Gasol dominated the court. And with that, the Lakers somehow scrapped to an 83-79 win. Kobe got his 5th ring, the Celtics went home in tears, and the rivalry finally came to a close in 2010. At least that's what everyone thought. In all honesty, it's never gonna end. In 2019, the Celtics' old shot caller Rajon Rondo walked into Boston Garden wearing Lakers colors and hit the game winner. The next year, he helped LeBron tie the Celtics banner count for 17. And with that, a Celtic turned Laker even the score, turning this rivalry into an NBA Game of Thrones, which should be proof that this feud will never die.